Hello. What's up, you guys? I just want to make another video. Today I'm going to be focusing on Persona 6 protagonist ideas. I love Persona. I've been playing this series. I started with 3 years and years ago when I was like in 6th grade. I started with 3, played that on my tablet through a PSP emulator, and played 4. 4 is my least favorite. However, 4 is still one of my favorite games. Love 4, and 5 is great as well. I have sunk over 500 hours into 5. The gameplay loop for that game is too good. So I love the Persona series. 2 is my personal favorite out of all the Personas. It probably goes 2, and maybe I'm a fake fan. I haven't played 1. Or I played a little bit of 1. I haven't beaten 1. But 2, again, probably my favorites go 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 2, 3, 5, 4, 1. Whew. But anyway, Tony4You made a really good video recently. And his video was, I think it was, if I remember the name correctly, it was his ideas for Devils Part 2, I think. Might be Part 1, but it's Part 2. I'll put the link in the description. Should be right here. Should be the name, or at least should post a screenshot or something of it. He came up with a really good idea, and I just wanted to expand upon his idea more. Solomon for being a devil, and I don't think Solomon should be just a devil. Should just be a devil or a persona. I think he should be a main persona, as in the pro tag. You have. Maybe he might be too main. No, because Izanagi is like a main pantheon god. But I think the ideas that the game could focus on with Solomon starting off as, I guess, holier than thou isn't the right word, but starting off is great. But then slowly a fall, but then also a rise back could be amazing. I don't know what his evolved form will be, but maybe that's another idea. Maybe that's another video for another day. But Solomon, I think, could be the first for real persona user, but also the first, what if a hero of legend gets turned into a persona? And I think Solomon could be used as the first wild card in Persona. Now, I'm a big Apocryphal fan, big old Apocryphal fan, and one of the iterations of Solomon, I guess you could call it that, he has something called the Ars Goetia, or the Lesser Key of Solomon, or it's called the Lesser Key of Solomon. And in that book, there are 72 devils in servitude to him. I think I got that right. Maybe in the comments you can tell me if I got it wrong, but I believe it is the 72 devils, 72 kings of hell. And that could fit so well into SMT or Persona as a whole. I'll focus on Persona because I'm a bigger Persona fan than I am an SMT fan, but I still love SMT, Nocturne being my favorite. But having a, I don't know Japan that well, but I do know that they do like to focus on teenagers a lot for their media. Having a college student, now I am biased, of course, because I am on the younger side, but having a college student unlock the first wild card, and maybe the story could play with him being, I want Persona 6 to be the last Persona. Maybe they could focus on Solomon, or on Solomon being the last wild card helping out, or sorry, the first wild card helping out the last wild card. I love dichotomy. I love opposites, the first and the last. That would be so freaking off the chain, dude. You could have Solomon being in servitude. All the moves that he used are references to his 72 demons. Stuff like Baal, stuff like Azeroth, Asmodeus, I think, as well. Belial. Using those demons and having Solomon be able to summon them himself, or not even summon them, but more like use their moves. And then when you get those demons in hand, and in turn, when you get some of them, of course, I don't want all 72 demons in the game. That's kind of too many. But when you get some of them, let's say when you get Baal, there's special interactions. I want in the next Persona game, this is slightly off topic, but I want the next Persona game to be Persona interactions. Not with just yourself, but I want these beings to be sentient. They did a really good job in Persona 5 with displaying Arsene talk, like Arsene talks to Joker, but I want there, and of course you can negotiate, but I want there to be interactions. I want you to be able to talk to your persona, be able to, the game is about social links. Building a stronger bond with your persona should be able to yield better results. Me personally, instead of there being in the next game, instead of there being a gym feature, there should be a feature to where you can hang out with your persona and build the bond with your persona, which makes you stronger in turn. And of course, there's different personas, that you can focus on. So let's say you just grab a random persona like Kelpie or something, and let's say you're like, oh, you for some reason just absolutely love Kelpie. Kelpie is just your favorite persona by far. You've kept them since the beginning of the game, and you're gonna keep them till the goddamn end of the game, and nothing's gonna change that. So you have Kelpie, and you're gonna use Kelpie. Now that's cool, but using Kelpie isn't the same thing as hanging out with them, being sociable, and really putting the personas in the real world. And that's another thing I would really prefer, putting the personas back in the real world. And Persona 2, they kind of had that, where the persona users can use their personas in the real world, but there's one instance in 3 where they can use it in the real world, but it's not really expanded upon too much. That one section with not Fugaku. I forget her name, and it's my favorite game. The sensory persona user. But in Persona 4, they can only use their personas in the TV world, and in Persona 5, they can only use their personas in the metaverse. I want them in this game to be able to use their personas outside, and being able to see the interactions with that. Now, the next game, I think they're going to rip heavily for Persona 5. It was way too successful. I don't want the next game to be Phantom Thieves. I want the next game to be, instead of going Thieves, I think focusing on, of course I'm a big superhero fan, but superheroes would be really cool. Either superheroes or something like Power Ranger or Kamen Rider would be such a cool idea. Or because you could have it to where, again, I like the Who Are the Phantom Thieves debacle. That was a nice addition. The whole like, oh, Akechi is gonna figure out who's the Phantom Thieves and everything. But the superhero idea, that could be something, as in you're having your characters walk around being able to summon their outfits on. But for instance, let's say Ann, hypothetically, Ann's a fire type, or she's not fire type, but she has a fire persona. Most of her moves are going to be focused around it. So I asked the question of, if Ann had her persona in real life and she put her hand on the stove, let's say Ann can summon lava in the game, but if Ann puts her hand on the stove, it would burn her. But in this game, if she can use her persona in real life, she puts her hand on the stove, it does nothing. That could lend credence to so many cool things and so many amazing dope things that you could do with Persona. Now, if we're talking back to the protagonist, if we're talking about, you know, Solomon being the first wild card and the protagonist being the last wild card, and if I want this to be the last one, I would prefer a return of the Philemon and Nyarlathotep. Now, if you have played Persona 3 to 5 and you don't watch Persona videos, usually those names mean absolutely nothing to you. Philemon pretty much is the guy who gave the first 2 Persona users that we know of, the boy with the earring and Tatsuya. Philemon gave them their personas, and Nyarlathotep was the guy to test them, basically, throughout the game. He was the bad guy at the end of Persona 2 and Persona 1. Nyarlathotep and Philemon had a bet going. Philemon bet on the humans, Nyarlathotep bet against the humans. Philemon seems to be winning that bet. After 3, 4, and 5, or in 3, 4, and 5, we don't know where Nyarlathotep gone. Philemon, the butterfly in 3 and 4, Philemon, that seems to still be Philemon. And again, big apocryphal fan, there's even a whole book of Philemon that seems to be where the name comes from, or at least from, in my mind. Of course, you can prove me wrong in the comments. I would think that having Philemon be a central figure again could really mean that crap is going down. Things are going down. that would give some consequence to the story. Having it be, oh crap, Philemon, this dude's back. The owner of the Velvet Room, Igor. Igor still says in Persona 5 that this isn't his, or, well, he does. I'll say in Persona 4. In Persona 4, Igor is still saying that this isn't his Velvet Room. That's not his Velvet Room. It's the Velvet Room. Philemon will say that it's his Velvet Room, because that Velvet Room belongs to Philemon. So, and I subscribe to the belief. My personal theory is that all of the attendants are all separate parts of Philemon. Seeing all the attendants come back together, and this is what it's going to go into my next point. Seeing all the attendants get back together, I want to see Margaret interact with Elizabeth, interact with Theodore, interact with Justine, Caroline, or Lavenza. I would love to see that. I want to see Bella and Nanashi come back. Talk about a crossover. And speaking of crossover, if they're coming back, I think the old cast coming back as 4, 5, and 3. Cameo for 2 and 1. I don't think Atlas would ever do that, because they would be like super old at this point. The pro tags for Persona 2 would be like, for Persona 2, Tatsuya might be in his 40s now, I think. Yeah, Tatsuya would be in his like 40s. Yukari would be like, if this is still like 2007 and they're in high school, Yukari might be in her mid 30s, late 30s. No, she'd be probably early 30s, which again will be cool. Now, spoilers for Persona 3. So if you have not played Persona 3, click off. Me personally, it would be the coolest thing if you had Yukari or Mitsuru. Since probably Mitsuru would make more sense. If you have Mitsuru come through and gather up all the Persona users to try to get back Makoto. His sacrifice meant a lot, but I think his sacrifice, and now correct me here if I'm wrong, but this is just my personal opinion, his sacrifice was meant to mirror be a type of Jesus-esque type thing. But in the Bible, you know, it says Jesus will return. Makoto returning to the story. Dude, I could see it already. Him coming back, him coming off the door, him just having a full-on, not super long beard, but just a little bit of stubble. And kind of still just getting himself reacclimated. And that being at the end of the game. Him looking up, and the game going to black because they saved Makoto. What more could you want? Of course, they're going to release, you know, Persona 6. I don't know. The next edition where it's like, you know, there's Persona 3 FES, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5 Ruby. So the next edition could have Makoto using Messiah, using Orpheus, using Thanatos. The next one could use that. But having Makoto be the end goal, trying to save a savior. What more could you want? Like, how many Persona users have saved the world? My personal opinion, Persona 5, Mitsuru's corporation, but her corporation that her dad gave her. Dude, where were they when the Phantoms were just running free for a year in Tokyo? Like, where were they? Having explanations of, oh, they're focusing on a bigger threat, or Nyarlathotep was coming back, or when Maruki was just out here just messing around, Mitsuru was doing this, like literally creating false realities. Oh, Mitsuru was doing this. What was Akihiko doing? Rise, we see, is still performing live shows and everything. So what was she up to? I want those questions answered in Persona 6. And maybe you could tell me, okay, that's more of a Persona Q thing. But it's the last game. Again, I want it to be. let's kind of, you know, and I doubt it's going to be. Persona makes way too much money for Atlus, so they're not gonna make this the last game. But can we make this the last game in the saga? You know, I'm a big Devil May Cry fan. Devil May Cry 5 is the last one in the Sons of Sparta saga. After this, we'll probably not even get another Nero game. We're probably gonna have like some other, like Dante's like daughter or something. Again, you can reference this video if I'm right. You can reference this. Dante's next protagonist probably gonna be like Dante's granddaughter or daughter or something. Having a mix of those, I mean, that's all I could want. Where it's the end of a saga. It's the end of the, you could call it, I don't know, the Tokyo saga. You can call it the Japan saga. Maybe they might go to another country. Maybe they'll go with the original idea of Persona 5 for 6, where it's them traveling around the world trying to solve issues. That was the original idea, and they changed it. Having those ideas are nice, and seeing Atlus be able to follow through on them, again, that would blow my mind. That would blow my mind. I love Atlus's writing team. Sometimes they are a little too loose with the writing, in my opinion. But I love them to death. Absolutely love them. So I know that they'd be able to have fun with this. And with games like these, I think it's really important to remember the whole point. I think especially when you're developing a game, not the whole point of that, but you gotta have fun. If the developers are having fun making the game, 9 times out of 10, I feel like you will have fun playing it. No one loves a game with no love in there. If you're having fun making something, you're probably going to put love into it, and you're probably going to matter to you, because those memories that you spent building that are going to put a impression on you, and you're going to tie it to that object. You're going to tie it to that project that you're working on. So having a focus on that, again, what more could you want out of a game than something that you could love so much? So having those aspects and having it so focused down that they have a surefire way of like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna go this, we're gonna like that. That's what I hope isn't the case. Persona 5 was heavily formalized, and that's good. That's really good. Don't get me wrong, it's really good, but I want a little bit more free realm, a little bit more free. How do you say this? A little bit more free space to move around. I'm not talking necessarily open world. I want something that when I'm talking to this confidant, it does affect this confidant badly. That's one of my gripes with Persona 5, was that there was not enough interaction between the confidants. If Persona 5 was coming out and seeing the truth, or that's Persona 4, but Persona 5 was revealing the truth to others, revealing the guilt that you have, and that was the whole point of the game. I think Persona 6 should be revealing more of like the overall series. It should be a return to form, the overall series, where it's revealing yourself, letting your true self go, and letting, or not true self go as in like letting, but letting it rip, you know, like showing everybody this is who you are. And I think that could be an amazing function for the game. Of course, we can talk about party members. I would love to make a second video on this, focusing on what like the Persona Bro focuses on. Mine personally, Junpei is my favorite, and I'm about to get into why I think fusion should return. We've only seen one fusion out of the mainline Persona games. Of course, there's so many other spin-offs that, especially with 4, there's so many spin-offs that I haven't played them all, so I wouldn't know. But Chidori and Junpei's Persona fusion that they have, I want that to return. That if they couldn't save Makoto in time, that maybe Orpheus or maybe Thanatos or even Messiah split off and went to you and went to Joker and went to the new protag. And the new protag, honestly, I would prefer him to be a college student. I don't really want too much about high school. I know that's that's a hot take. Of course, it's not. But a college student, you can have way more freedom on your hands. And I feel like a lot more people enjoy that sim version, that sim part of Persona than they do the combat. So a little bit more sim heavy with it. The combat was really nice though. Of course, Persona 6 is going to have to be stylized. And whether they do go with the green, the white, or the black route, me personally, Persona 2 should be split into two, or Persona 6 should be split into 2 games. Right into 2 games. It should be Persona 6 Black. So, having a Persona Black and Persona White, let's say Persona White first, and then we have Persona Black. I would prefer Persona Black to be, of course, unintended, a lot more dark. I'm talking like party members dying and just things just going down. And Persona White being a little bit more lighthearted. Persona White could focus on the cast of 3 and 4. Or sorry, 4 and 5 if you're Persona 6. 4 and 5, I mean, like getting them necessarily not on your team, but something around you where you have a huge hub. I'm a very huge Trails fan. Trails does, like Trails of Steel, Trails of Gold Sky, it's Trails in the Sky. They do this tremendously well, and some people hate it. I love it. They have so many party members that all have their unique backstory and history that's been built up over at least more than 15 years. I want that for Persona. I want them to bring back Akihiko. I want them to bring back Junpei. I want them to bring back Yukari. And I know they're already there in the fighting game, but I want them there more. There's a dancing game, sure, and having the remake come out, the Persona 3 remake, and having Makoto be saved, oh my god, that could hit so much harder. That would hit so much harder. How amazing would it be if Persona 3 ends with Makoto closing his eyes, but an after credit scene is Makoto opening up his eyes and he sees the Persona 6 protag, Joker, and you. There is no man left behind. Maybe that would go, and I mentioned this, I'll mention this on all the rest of the videos for Persona 6. Maybe that might go against what some people like. They like the sacrifice, and I do too. The sacrifices are meant to be taken. It kind of goes against the whole point of it to be a sacrifice, but the world isn't like it was back then. And I feel like that is something that should be focused and should be impressed on. The world isn't like that anymore. Back in Persona 3, there was that sickness, there was that where people essentially wanted to die. They wanted death to come to them. And having it be saved to where the Phantom Thieves gave people their own volition, and the investigation team, or C's, and the investigation team, the work that they did where they wanted to reveal the truth to everybody, and see, having those aspects come through and everybody did their part to where the world, like I said, the world isn't like that anymore. Makoto doesn't need to hold the door closed anymore, because now it's everybody can trust themselves, and having that be the finale to where not everybody can necessarily awaken a persona, but everybody can be themselves and take off that mask. Amazing. Amazing. That could tie up the Philemon and Nyarlathotep bet. Humanity has saved itself, and Philemon wins the bet. And how trivial would it be? But how funny. I think it'd be hilarious. Nyarlathotep says, fine, Philemon, you win. Oh, dang it. Nyarlathotep gives Philemon like $5. Like, darn it. Here's $5 God dollars. Oh, thanks. Because we never know what the bet is over. We never know, like, what is the bet about. Well, we know what the bet's about, but we never know, like, what is it like. So are you betting over money? Are you betting over time? Like, are you betting just for fun? Having Nyarlathotep go up to Philemon and be like, you won the bet, fine. Here you go. Here's some money. Having that be the case, dude, that would be great. That would give me a little chuckle, especially at the end of the story. I feel like when you're ending a story, especially something like Persona, ending it off with a little laugh, never a bad idea. And of course, who doesn't want, whatever the mascot of Persona 6 is, they're gonna get a mascot. Whatever the mascot of Persona 6 is, seeing them interact with Morgana, Teddy, and I guess technically Aegis, because she is the mascot of 3, but Konohamaru would probably be a little bit more relevant. That'd be something I'd really want to see. Again, Persona Q tackles all of this. Not even all of this, but some of this. The romance factor would be a little bit weird, though, because of who you're able to romance. Persona usually has this thing where you can romance pretty much like anybody. Pretty much anybody. There are, of course, exceptions. So having Persona be able to where you're like what, 17 in Persona, or if you're a college student you're 19. So I know there's gonna be people out there who are a Rise fan freaking, what is that, more than 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago with Persona 4. They were just all over Rise, and they're still a Rise fan to this day, and they will still pick that very same option. And even seeing the canon ships happen. So a popular one is Naota and Kanji. Like, to me, my personal opinion, I think all the Persona, it's just the easiest way. All the Persona users, all the mainline Persona users, just got with the lovers personas. That way it's easy. Even in 1 and 2. I don't know who the lovers 1 and 1 is, but if... I doubt that, actually, because Yusuke, now... what's the Persona 2 protagonist's name? I'm forgetting. Something with a T. But he didn't get with Ginkgo. Most likely, he probably got with Maya. But with Makoto getting with Yukari, that would make sense. Having you get with... Who is the Persona 4 lovers? Rise, I just said it. God, there's just so many characters running through. And Joker get with An. Having those interactions and relationships, I think, would be something where it's like, oh, this is the canon. This is what happened. That would ruin so many people's day, though. So they could keep it kind of open-ended on who Joker got with, who you got with, who Makoto will get with. But anyway, yeah, those are just my ideas, just for Persona 6, on what I would prefer. Again, would really like Solomon to be would be the main protagonist persona, and I would love the interaction just to be on another level of Solomon giving, of course he's one of the wise, or he is the wise king, Solomon giving his wisdom to the protag and saying like, here's what you need to do. So that protag is by far the most wise because he was taught by Solomon himself. Heck yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. A wise protagonist, man. I haven't seen that in a very long time. But anyway, that's the video. I'll probably do another video tomorrow. I don't even know what that video is about. Probably about One Piece. If you guys like One Piece, I'm a very big fan of One Piece. So I'll probably do a video on One Piece. I hope you guys enjoy the day. And yeah, keep pushing on. Yeah. You guys have a good one.